Since I started my calisthenics training journey well over a decade ago, suspension calisthenics have always been a basic staple to give myself and my clients a lot more options and versatility. And naturally, of course, started off using rings. And I like rings. They work really well. I like that nice solid feel. However, over the years, I've much come to prefer suspension-based handles. And that's why I got really excited when I found these. These are Trings by the Pull-Up and Dip Company. And when they reached out to me and they said, can we send you a set of these for a review? I naturally jumped at the chance. First off, you get quite a bit in the package, which is an excellent value for roughly around $65. It comes in a nice presented printed box, and inside you have your wooden Trings, 2 sets of straps, a door anchor, printed instructions, and 2 carry bags. The carry bags are kind of a neat touch. You have the somewhat cheaper plasticky kind of bag that just kind of holds everything together. But the other bag is a nice drawstring backpack, much higher quality, made with the cloth, fits really well, and it kind of keeps everything nice, tight, and in place to further illustrate the idea that this is a system that's meant to be taken with you to the park when you're camping or on the go. The included door anchor is a nice little bonus as well because ring training is typically not done from a door. It's usually always an overhead support like a tree limb or a pull-up bar, but nonetheless, it is a fun way to get more versatility out of suspension calisthenics. And I found that the construction of this is very good quality, holds really secure and fast in the door. However, the loops that you feed the straps through were a little small for my liking, which made them harder to feed through, a little bit harder to adjust, a little bit more cumbersome. I would like to see those loops roughly about twice the size they are now. Nonetheless, they do certainly get the job done. The straps are one of the highlights of the entire unit, simply because I really like the material that they've built this out of. It's a little bit thinner and more compact than the typical bigger, softer style weave nylon that you used to see. It just feels like it's a more simple, compact, lightweight version. It doesn't have nearly as much size and bulk as the old style of nylon, which can be very handy when you're on the go. It's a 1.5 inch simple cam buckles, printed branding on it, and printed graduating numbers on it, so it's really easy to set up and get the level just right. However, I find that the printing is, I think, on the wrong side. Typically, I'm used to pulling this through and seeing the numbers feed through the buckle towards me, and instead it's on the back side, and I have to kind of move the strap off to the side in order to read where it is. It's not a big deal, but it is just a little thing that I felt I should bring up. The straps also have this little Velcro retainer on it that helps you to keep it all nice and tight when you're traveling. And it's also good for tying up excessive straps so that way it's not flittering around when you're working out. So let's jump right into the nitty-gritty here. What are these and are they worth using over gymnastics rings? Well, Trings, naturally, as the name implies, is a combination between 3 and rings. Instead of having a regular circular ring, you have 3 different settings or positions you can use this. First off, the curved ring portion of the Trings. This works just like any other gymnastics ring. If you're grabbing onto this and doing rows, muscle ups, dips, and so on, you won't notice any difference using these than you would if you were using just a normal set of gymnastics rings. The straight handle is by far my most favorite, as this, in my opinion, just makes total sense for grabbing on, especially for a lot of things like curls, tricep extensions, and so forth. Furthermore, when you have the strap on the top of the curvature here, it sits very secure and it doesn't twist or rotate around as I was afraid it might. So if you put it at an angle for things like tricep extensions, it stays very secure and stays put, and it won't slip around on you, which makes it ideal for arm work and shoulder-focused exercises. Now, this barrel grip here was the one that was the most surprising to me. However, when I first started using it, it was actually the greatest disappointment for me, largely because I found that this ridge actually put more of an acute pressure against my palm or my fingers when I was pushing and pulling against that ridge. Over the weeks that I've been using this, I've noticed that it is a bit more comfortable for pulling exercises, but still when it comes to doing heavy stuff, especially like weighted dips, much more ergonomic to use the straight bar or the ring. And the reason is because this actually isn't a barrel grip. If you look at dumbbells or cable machine attachments, that barrel grip is curved all the way around. So it is a true barrel shape. However, when you look at this, you have curvature on the top and on the bottom, but when you move to the side, it's actually flat, which means that this ridge here has more of an acute pressure point against the hand versus if it was more of a circular barrel. I don't think that would necessarily be a good thing to try and make this perfectly a circle barrel, because of course when you're using the ring and it's got against the forearm, now you have this bulbous piece of wood that's even pushing it further out, which is not the best way to go either. So I don't really think there would be too much of a solution for that. Maybe curve this down just a little bit so it's not quite as much of an acute pressure up on the top here. File this down just a bit. I'm just spitballing, and again, it might just be the fact that my hand that's the way it fits my hand. If you had smaller hands, I would be willing to guess that it would be a lot more comfortable. So what are my final thoughts? Rings versus Trings. Well, at the end of the day, these are exactly what they are as marketed. They give you a lot more options as far as grip positions and stuff than rings, a lot more comfortable and a lot more ergonomic, especially if you want to explore some of the classic suspension training exercises outside of the basic ring-based exercises of push, pull, and muscle ups. However, I feel like this is a bit of a compromise between ring training and classic suspension trainers. Yes, you've got a straight handle, but it's still not a handle that rotates, which for a lot of those classic suspension exercises, is still going to give you a little bit more comfort. Yes, it gives you a lot more options, but it's not quite as simple as just grab and go as you would with the basic rings. So it feels a little bit like it's a compromise. It's not gymnastics rings and it's not a suspension trainer. So if you're gonna have just one setup to work with, this is definitely what I would recommend. However, if you have the resources and ability to have both rings and a suspension trainer, I would go with that route instead of this. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself. There's a link down below in the description, as well as a coupon code for a little bit of a discount. And it is an affiliate link, so if you use it, you will help to support RDP. Thank you very much. I also want to thank Pull Up and Dip for supplying these for this review. Very much appreciated. And if you're curious, they also have classic rings on there as well, which I also highly recommend. There are my thoughts. Love to hear yours down below in the comments section. Be fit, live free.